All right. And I'm really happy to introduce our first speaker today, Sofia Chavez from City College of San Francisco. Take it away, Sofia.
Yay. Thank you, Sandra. Can we go to the next slide, please?
Yep.
All right. Well, thank you so much for inviting me. I'm very excited to be here. My name is Sofia Chavez Rivera. I am a biotech alum from CCSF, very proud and grateful, because without them, I would definitely not be where I am today as I sit here at the Genentech campus. It's been a journey. And if it weren't for them, I'd probably be at the beach you see in that picture, as I'm originally from Puerto Rico. Next slide, please. Oh, there was one before that, I think. Yes. So putting together this presentation, I felt the simplest way to explain my journey was through the two guiding principles, which have been emotion and logic. I feel like most of the major life-changing decisions that I've made or that have changed my life have come from an impulsive place, kind of an improvised place as well, given circumstances. But then at the same time, they were made in a way where I didn't want to backtrack. So there was a clear path like we see in the picture on the right. And I feel like this combination has really helped me throughout. So I wanted to use it as the analogy of how I reached where I am now. Next slide, please. So as I mentioned, I'm originally from Puerto Rico, and I added my transcript here because my bachelor's was one of my favorite degrees by far. So I wanted to walk you guys through how much fun I had because these were the classes that I was taking. I had history of Puerto Rico. I majored in foreign languages, so I took French, I took Italian. I had general history of Russia, Spain, I took nutrition. And if you note, I put a red line under my two worst grades, which were for math, because I tried more than once. And this was the class that was always the wall. So I felt like, you know what, science is not for me. I won't pass math, so I can't get into this department. And I'm good at so many other things that it's fine. I can combine it in the end. But graduation year 2017, a really intense hurricane hit Puerto Rico. So we were left with no power. And those were definitely months of feeling like hopes and dreams were on pause. And so thankfully, like we're in an age, right, where there's internet, we kind of had like power in certain Starbucks, etc. So my kind of, I think, exercise day to day was to see, okay, what can I do right now from where I am to have something going or like some kind of plan to kind of get me out of here eventually. So I applied to a master's program because I figured, okay, I studied foreign languages impulsively, emotionally. I was like, I really want to leave. But then logically, I was like, I have to leave and be able to stay somewhere. So I applied to a master's program in Boston. And I also bought a trip, a flight ticket to Canada because I felt like definitely needed a restart before that master's program and just to like take the world in, practice some French and walk around, take a breather. So I got into the master's program and I left for Boston. Next slide, please. So in Boston, I studied international business. And here I kind of got exposed to what different combinations people can make with degrees that are maybe in liberal arts, but then combined with business. And this is where I found the biotech industry, I feel, just because I kept going out to networking events and I realized that people in science were working with artists and people in science were working with engineers and project managers. And there was a lot of different kind of aspects of the science industry that I could get into from a different standpoint without a 4-year bachelor's in biology. And at this point, let's remember that I was still really scared of math. So here I enrolled in a community college, but I really didn't like it. I didn't feel like it was comprehensive or hands-on. So I was frustrated one day and I spoke to a friend of mine, and she told me that in California, you can study for free if you live there for a year, pay taxes. Specifically in San Francisco, they had a lot of help for community college students. And so once again, a month later, bought a ticket impulsively, left. I was like, this is my plan. I'm going to do this degree. It was definitely the scariest one I applied for because I knew it would be math heavy, it would be chemistry, it would be science, and I felt like I had zero foundation. But I also felt like I had just completed a master and I felt sort of half baked. So I was like, you know what? This is just more tools for my toolbox. So next slide, please. Then I moved to San Francisco. I enrolled in CCSF, moved literally a block away because I took all of these classes in one semester. And I just drowned in my classes. I was like, if I'm gonna do this, it has to be intensive. I'm taking a semester off of work and I'm just gonna be a full-time student. And I can't even waste time getting to school. So I lived really, really close. This experience was definitely one of the most life-changing, I feel, because it not only was the hardest degree that I've done, but it was the most supportive. Like, I feel it definitely showed me that when you are part of a group that is trying to build a community, everything is easier. It also showed me through the people that I met that I was not the only one doing this way. Like, most of us were, let's say, in our second career, trying to pivot, like trying something new. Even people who had 4-year degrees in science were trying to do something different. So it felt really relatable. And after I completed all these classes, thanks to a lot of help, I did the internship at Genentech. And that's where I work now as a media prep technician. So through this program, I ended up finding a job. Now I'm working in the science field, and it's definitely been very close to everything I learned in school. So that was surprising because this program was very, very hands-on. And it's definitely an experience that I do not regret. Next slide, please. So this happened recently. I added this picture that I saw here in front of one of the labs in the hallway. And I added it here because this is the work of Alphonse Mucha, a Czech painter from the Art Nouveau movement of the 1900s. And I was recognizing this the second I passed it because I studied it in one of my art history classes. And it just felt like a full circle moment of all of this time trying to fix something that I had chosen in the past. And like, I need to become more technical focused. I need to get a science degree. If only I had done it a few years ago, et cetera, et cetera. And then all of a sudden this felt like, oh, wow, learning is cumulative. And this made me feel well-rounded. And this made me feel like, no, nothing needs to be fixed. Nothing was a mistake. Nothing is lost. I wouldn't be where I am today if I hadn't studied that. So I wanted to include that because I feel like we all notice different things out there in the world. We all have our own perspective, and that definitely should influence where you end up and what you choose for yourself. It shouldn't just be whatever is on a piece of paper that is listed as the straight path. Sometimes it's okay to deviate, and you can slowly trust that you're going to build your own. So I also wanted to add top 3, I guess, life lessons that I received from my dad, from my grandma, from experience. First one, choose something that will allow you to live the life you want. And this is not just financially, this is lifestyle wise. Like, some people like the outdoors more. Find a job where you know that this is something you will be able to do moving forward. Some people don't like the outdoors or want to live inside, you know, like there are things that we definitely prefer, and that's great because it's good that everybody likes different things, but take it into consideration when you pick something that you're going to do for the rest of your life. The next advice was my grandma. She said, when you look back, a year or two don't seem like such a long time. And that was because she would have done a PhD or she would have pursued something else, etc. Like, Sometimes we feel like, oh no, I can't do that because it's going to take a year, a semester. In the end, it might change your life. CCSF took me a year once I transferred all the transcripts, and I thought a semester was a lot, but I wouldn't be where I am, and my life would look very, very different if I hadn't, let's say, sacrificed that time and allotted it for this. And I would still have the curiosity of like, could I have done it? Am I good at math, etc. And then lastly, I added ownership, which to me, own your ship. Like, know why you are where you are, own your mistakes, learn from them, and definitely just value your independence overall, because being able to make your own decisions freely is definitely something that I think is one of the most important things to cherish, because your freedom is everything to find your happiness. Next slide, please. Thank you so much for listening. That is the end of my presentation.